Today I'm going to show you an easy way to write equations for lines, but I don't want you to just memorize this. I'm going to tie it all together so it makes sense with what your teacher may be doing in the classroom. First off, we're going to need a point. So I'm going to use the point 4, 2, and I'm going to graph some lines that go through that, but I want you to look at the format of the equations that I'm going to be using here. So this first one, y minus 2 equals 3 times x minus 4. I want you to notice that the 2 is with the y and the 4 is with the x. That's not an accident or a coincidence. It has to do with the fact that the x-coordinate of the point is 4 and the y-coordinate of the point is 2. Since we're writing equations, we have an extra y and x in here because equations have to have y's and x's in them. Let's graph this line right now and take a look at it. We know where the 2 came from and we know where the 4 came from. What's the 3 about? Well, the 3 is the slope of the line. You guys learn how to do rise over run? So I take a point, go up 3 from that point, and then I run 1, and I find another point on that line. And I can continue to find points on this line by following that same pattern. Up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. That is the slope. Let's do this again so you can see a pattern. I'm going to graph the line y minus 2 equals 1 times x minus 4. Based on what we just did, can you predict how this is the same and how this is different? Well, if you said it's the same because it's going to go through the point 4, 2, you're absolutely right because you can see the 2 and the 4 in the equation. But it's not as steep of a line because in this case the slope is only 1. Go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. One more time, I'm going to graph the equation y minus 2 equals 0.5, but that's really 1/2. X minus 4, when we graph that, again we have another line going through 4, 2, but now the slope is 1/2. Go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. This is called point slope form. Point slope form, written out like a formula where you substitute numbers in, will be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where that y1 and x1 are coming from a given point. Remember, we write our points with the x first, and the slope is the m. Depending on your teacher, they may change the notation around a little bit. Like I've seen this point slope form where they keep the m, but the x1 and y1 change to an hk. It doesn't change anything at all. It's the same thing. Let's do one without graphing it. We're just going to take the information off of a piece of paper and write an equation. Start by writing the point slope form, leaving blanks, knowing where the numbers are going to go. I have a point 5, 2. 5 is x1, y1 is 2. And so I'm going to pop those numbers in where they would go in the formula. Remember, y1 is a placeholder that you'll change to a 2. The x1 is a placeholder that you will now change to a 5. And the last thing is to pop the slope in here, which is 3. And if you're supposed to leave it in point slope form, ta-da! You are done. Let's do it again. It can be a little tricky when we're working with negative numbers because the actual form has negatives in it. See the minus signs, y minus y1? When we pop these numbers in, we're going to end up with some double negatives. So let's see what happens. Y minus negative 2 equals 3 times x minus negative 5. You have to be very careful here because the minus that you see in the formula is subtraction, and the minus sign you see on the numbers means it's a negative number. And when you pop those in, you see this double negative thing happening. Remember, when you see minus a negative number, that's going to change to plus. And this is where I want you to be real careful. You need to write it down so you don't miss it. So we end up with y plus 2 equals 3 times x plus 5. And that is the equation for a line in point slope form. Okay, so those are the numbers we're going to use. Let's pop them in. Y minus a negative 4 equals negative 3 times x minus 7. Now in this case the 7 was positive, so I don't have the double negative thing going on, but the y value was negative 4, so I do in the beginning. It's going to be y plus 4 equals negative 3 times x minus 7, and you are finished. That is the equation of a line that goes through the point 7, negative 4 that has a slope of negative 3. Now this is in point slope form. What happens if we go one step further? Because I'm sure you're looking at that back end there going, what happens if I multiply that -3 through? Like if I use distributive property here. Let's simplify this thing. So we get y plus 4, -3 times x is -3x, and then a -3 times a -7 is a positive 21. Now let's solve for y by subtracting 4 from both sides, and we get y equals -3x plus 17. We were in point slope form, now we're in a different form. And when we were in point slope form, it was pretty easy. We could see what the point was that we went through, we can see what the slope was. But if you look at the form we're in now, we can still see the slope. But what is that 17? Well, you are now in something called slope-intercept form, and you're going to see when you're in algebra class, we actually use this one a lot more. I wanted to show you how you could get into slope-intercept form from point-slope form because it's a lot easier to pop into point-slope form, right? Take a look at this. I had one there that was going through the point 4, 2, and it has a slope of -2. So let's just pop these numbers in and then do the simplifying and see what happens. Now I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Now compare this to the graph. Whoa, what sorcery is this? You see the plus 10 in the equation, and it goes with the place where the line has crossed the y-axis up here at positive 10. Point slope form and slope intercept form are the same line. Same equation, same line, just written differently. Today, as I'm recording this, I still have more work to do with my own algebra classes on this topic, so there'll be more videos coming about how to write equations for lines. Watch for those. Until then, check out the algebra playlist. Thanks for liking and subscribing, because more students are finding the channel, and that's what the whole point is to help you guys learn math without it being so frustrating. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.